Hi guys, very good morning to all of you. Welcome to the video number 380 and my name is Ajay. In this video today we are going to make a project. We are going to start making a project and it's going to be the part 1, and what we're going to do is we're going to link up the access table with the Excel forms. Okay, and we're going to use the DAO library because, as you know, in the access we have the two options. One is the DAO and the another one is the ADO. I'm going to talk about the ADO as well, but not in this video. First we will gradually we will start covering all these things, and in the part 2 also I'm going to talk about it, how to update the records from the Excel user forms. And whatever you do, the updates in the Excel user form, the same gets applies the access table automatically using the Excel VBA. All right. So I got this actually the inspiration to upload this video from one of my subscribers whose name is Ali, and Ahmad Ali has written this. Ajay, thank you for your wonderful videos on Excel VBA and Access. I have created a project which will push data to Access from Excel VBA user form. Is it possible to make changes to Access data by retrieving the data from Access to Excel VBA user forms, or delete the Access records to Excel VBA user form? Also wanted to restrict users from accessing Access database, and when they pull the data from the Access database, it should pull records that were created by them, not by the other users, right? So Ali, that's a very wonderful question, and this is going to help all the community, whosoever is going to watch this video. And definitely we're going to integrate the Access and the Excel using the form. But this is going to be the first video, and in the first video what I will do is, as you can see here guys, we have the Excel form, this Excel here. I'm going to create an Excel form, and when I click on that, what will happen, we will see that how using the VBA, Excel VBA, and using the DAO technology, we will like to import the data here from the access table, whatever you want to update, and then further that we will update the things, right? So right now I want to show you the database quickly, because this can be a long video. So let us quickly start this. And for those who are watching the channel for the first time, guys, this channel is having Excel VBA, MS Access and Access VBA videos. And what you can do is, if you're a beginner or if you're looking for something very advanced level stuff, you can go to the playlist and you will find here 44 different playlists, as you can see here, right? We have the Access VBA, we have the advanced Excel, just the Excel. There's no Excel VBA word here in this playlist. This is Excel VBA event. So you can see that every playlist actually has n number of the videos, and once you click on the playlist, you will find there the different videos. Some are the basic videos, some are the intermediate level videos, and some are extremely advanced level videos, right? So in this video now, what we are going to do is, the first thing which I want to tell you is that let us see the access table. So this is my access database, and the name of the database is DB. Right, I'm using the, by the way, Access Office 2016, but this code is going to work everywhere, right? So now I have prepared a dummy table, basically, I would say. Now this is so you should have a good knowledge of Access. The basic knowledge of Access is required to see this video, to understand this video, right? Because we are going to actually import this data in the Excel, so we're going to use the select query. So you should be knowing about the select query, guys, right? Though it is not really difficult, you can stick to the video and you can enjoy the video, right? And after the video I will be telling you, just if you're an Access beginner, what you need to do, right? So let us start this table. And now you can see here, this is a kind of a spreadsheet. Like in Excel you have a spreadsheet, guys. In the Access you have the tables where you store the information. And the good part about these tables, about this Access, is that it can store up to 2 GB of the data, which is too much, right? I mean, it can really hold a big data, right? If your limit is actually beyond 2 GB, then of course you will not use the Access. Then you will like to use maybe the SQL Server, right? But anyways, we are here to talk about the Access. Now guys, what I need is, I want all the information to get imported in my the column A. So here I'm going to write here the book names. For example, what we are trying to do here is, we would like to import all the book names here, only the book names, not any other item. I don't need the book ID, I don't need the author, right? So once I have all the information here, I will get that information passed on to my the user form, right? So in the user form we will create the combo box, right? So what you can do is, I can simply come here and I can go to the this developer tab, or maybe you can create a user form as well. That's all up to you. I would say that you can also use the these form controls which are under the developer tab. That is also one of the way you can do that, right? So it's all up to you, like basically, as I said. So first of all, let's go to the Visual Basic, and what we will do, we will quickly go to the insert and the user form. So here I'm going to insert the user form, and in this toolbox, if you don't see this toolbox, what you need to do is you need to click on the view and the toolbox, and let us first of all have the list box, or you can have the list box, you can have the combo box. The choice is yours. I'm going to create the list box, for example, right? So here I'm going to create the list box. This is how I'm going to create the list box. And because your table can be big, right, so I would say better you actually use the combo box, because list box then will have to be, user has to scroll it down a lot, right? But that's fine. I mean, that's all up to you how you want to do that. I'm going to create both the things for you, so I will create the combo box as well. Right now, if you run this is how the code would look like. And by the way, if you don't have any information about the user forms, guys, there's a playlist called Excel VBA user forms on my channel. Please start watching those videos, part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, and so on. Right, I have talked about separately on the list box, I have talked about separately on the combo box. So in this video we're not gonna do that, right? So this is my box, and if I just press F4, or maybe I could go to the view and the property, I would like to see the name. So the name of the list box is list box 1. So I'm just going to rename it as list LST, and then I'm gonna name it as book name. Okay, that's it. And similarly, I click on the combo box, and the combo box property window would come here. So we're gonna name this as CMB bookstore, or maybe the book name. Okay, that's it. Right now, once you have done that, what we would like to do is we would like to create here a button, which if I click, the data would come here in the Excel. So let us go ahead and let's go to the view and the toolbox, and here I'm going to create that button. So we will use the command button. So I'm going to use the command button over here, right? And again, go to the property window of this command button to change the name. So I click on the property window, and in the name, what I'm going to write here is box CMB submit. Right now, if you know the basics of the forms, and if you have watched the previous videos on my user forms, you'll understand why I'm giving this name, because this is what I'm going to use in the VBA background. And for the user to what he's going to see in the front end, she's going to see in the front end, this is what you will write. Whatever you will write in the caption, that will come. So I'm going to write here import book names, for example, right? And just increase the width of this so that the text can fit. There we go. So this is what we have, right? So if I run this is how it is going to look like. So the moment I click here, I should be able to see all my names in this list box, and at the same time in this combo box. You can use either of it, right? Your choice, guys. So let us go ahead. The form is done. We will make the code here. First of all, I just go to the module, and here we're going to start the code. What we want to do here, first of all, let me tell you. Now you see that this is your Access database, right? Now let me close this, because we would like to open this through the programming. So what I will do, I will right click on this, I will go in the properties, and I'm going to click on the security just to copy the complete path. So I'm going to copy this. Let me copy this. I'll tell you though what exactly we're going to do now, because a couple of things you should know very well. Because this is the Excel VBA, and you're going to connect it with the external application, external database, which is the Access. Your VBA should know that basically which object you're going to deal with, and to do that you will have to own a library which is called the database object library. So you click on the tool and the reference. Now it is exactly the same, like you connect the Outlook with the Excel, then you go to the tools and the library, and you get your Outlook library activated, and then if you want to connect it with the PowerPoint, you get your Microsoft PowerPoint library activated, or in case of MS Word, you activate the MS Word library. So I mean, I have talked about all these things in my different playlists. For example, we have a playlist Excel, connecting Excel with the PowerPoint, connecting Excel with the Outlook. Just in case if you're new to the channel, you can go and check out all those videos, right? But in this case, we're gonna create the Access connection. So just use, you need to do is you need to use the Microsoft data access object library. So just see that where it is. So this is the one, DAO, right? I'm going to use Microsoft DAO 3.6 object library. If you have any other version, not a problem, just on this library. But before you click OK, what you need to do is you further need to on one more library, which because we are going to first of all connect with the access. So we are going to make that platform. We're going to activate the access window, and to activate the access window, we are like to activate the Microsoft Access library as well, right? So just scroll it up, and somewhere here you would see that Microsoft Access 16.0 object library. So these two libraries I needed 16.0 because as I said, I'm using the Office 2016. Now come back and let us have a look if they are connected or not. Now guys, these two libraries should be there, right? Now because this is Excel, because this is Excel VBA, you see that here we have the Microsoft Excel 16.0 object library. By default it is activated, and because of this library, you are able to use the you are able to create a lot of things in the Excel VBA, right? So that's this library, if you try to uncheck it, it will never do that because you are on the Excel platform and this has to be there. But when you want to connect with the external applications, you will have to use that the Access 16.0 object library, because from here we would like to open the Access, and then using the DAO technology which we use for the data transferring, we're gonna make some queries, we're gonna fetch the information. So DAO basically we are using to retrieve the information from the Access, and this library we are using to actually open the Access, because you want to open the Access, and then in that Access you want to target some particular table, right? So to do that, you got to have this library. I'm going to tell you once I write the program, but before I do that, I want to tell you one more thing, because a lot of you also have asked me that in the Access how to open the Excel. So guys, if you go to the Access, for example, I open this Access database, what happens if you go to the Visual Basic of this Access, you would see same thing but in the different way. Why? Because if you go to the tool in the reference, what do you see here? Obviously here you won't see the Microsoft Excel 16.0 because you are now on the Access platform. So by default the Access 16.0 object library is going to be activated. You're getting my point? So if you just uncheck this, it will not allow you to do that, because this is what is going to be responsible for your all the VBA coding and whatever the functions you use. Of course, there are other libraries as well. You can see here, even if I uncheck this library, let me click here, I can't do that. So these are all the libraries which are responsible for your the overall performance of your VBA, right? Now, if you want to open the MS Excel from the Access, no prizes for guesses, because you got to on the Microsoft Excel library. So when you press M, they are all alphabetically sorted. That's the library you would like to on. So check mark here and click OK, right? So this is how you connect the one application with the another application. We're not gonna do that because obviously we're gonna run the code on the Excel. As per my subscriber, we will like to control everything from the user form. So let's come back and let us now first of all run this, which is going to be retrieve information, okay, using DAO. As I said, it's your database access object, and you will have to on that library, right? So what is the first thing I want to do is, well, the first thing you want to do is you want to open the Access application, right? So this is how we're going to do that. I'm going to name this as access.application. Now guys, you see this access.application only because of the reason that you have activated there the Microsoft Access library. If I'm going to uncheck that library, if I'm just going to uncheck it and click OK, you come back to the code and you start typing this again. When you're going to start typing X as you're going to write here Access, you will not see that. The Access will not come here, right? Right now it is there because that library is activated. So that is why I have actually used that library. So first you make this Access application, and then as usual we are going to use the early binding method, where we are defining everything in the beginning that this is what we need to do. There is another method which is called the late binding. In the late binding you create the objects, right? Because we are using the early binding method. So early binding method means that every person who is going to use this the code, if I send you this file, then they first, if they are using the lower version, I'm using 2016, then they will have to first of all on their libraries, because in their case 16.0 will not be there and it is going to show there as missing. So they will have to, you know, on their particular libraries 15.0, 14.0, 12.0, whatever it is, right? That is called the early binding. So we're going to use that now, new access dot application. Now we're going to make that, you know, visible. So I just run this true. Okay, now when you're going to run this, see what will happen. Let me first show you. If I run just F8, look at this, guys. Access application is going to be created and we're going to show it using this x.visible. There we go. Can you see that? Wow, this is so interesting, right? Now from this access, you can open whatever database you want to. I want to target this DB which is on my desktop. So let me just close that, right? So what is the next line? The next line is going to be, you're going to open the access database. So I'm going to open that current database and then you write the complete path. So I guess I copied the path and this is what is exactly this. So I'm going to copy this access and you have your access open using this command. It's exactly the same, you know, how you write workbooks.open and then you get your files open, Excel files open. So once your data is open, then what will you like to do? Obviously now your code starts, because once this database gets open, I'm going to target my table which is called the bookstore table. Okay, so in this bookstore table, the field which is the book name, I'm going to actually, you know, import all these items in the Excel using the VBA, right? So how are you going to do that? So what we will do is we will create here a database. We'll create here a DB as DO.database and then set DB equals to current DB. Okay, this is how you write. This means that DB is going to be considered as the database, which is which database? The current database. Which current database? Obviously the database which you have opened. So DB now refers to this DB.accDB, right? You can write here maybe anything else. Maybe you can write my DB as well. That's fine. Okay, because my title also says DB, so you should not have this impression in your mind that basically I'm using the title. No, it has nothing to do with the title. Title is I just created DB, right? But this has nothing to do with this DB. So whatever access database will open, that is going to be considered as my DB going forward in this code, right? Now, so now once the database we have created, we would like to create a record set. So you're gonna create here rs as do.recordset and then set rs equals to the mydb, and then you use the open record set, and in the open record set like to write the name of the table. So you're gonna write here bookstore. Okay, the table name, put it within the quotes. Now for those who doesn't understand what is the record set, well guys, record set it means that a collection of, you know, the records, information, right? It can have a one record, it can have a two record. For example, this bookstore has how many records it has? I think it has 8 records, right? So this entire information is here called the record set. Basically, when you have it can be a one row as well. In access we don't call it the row, we call it actually records. These are all the records and these are all your field names, and particularly if I talk about 100, 200, XLVB, XYZ, they are called the field values, right? So the bunch of information which you have, the bunch of records you have, this is what we call the record set. Record set can be anything, right? It can be any table, it can be any query, right? So I'm using the table name directly. Now you can also use this in a different way. Let me show you. So if you know the select query in the access, now select query is what? Select query is actually to use the information to retrieve the information. For example, when you go in the access, this is just I'm giving the extra knowledge. If you create the query, if you have any knowledge about the query, if I just want to see the details of my let's say table, and I just want the book name, I do not want anything, so I just double click here and the book name comes here, and you see this is the select query. If you just click on the run, you will get to see here all the book names, right? So this is exactly we're gonna do. This is the same query we're gonna build in the Excel VBA. Now you would be asking me that how can I actually create that, because this is a more of a wizard. So guys, when you create the queries, they have their SQL view as well. structured query language, or people call it SQL as well. Now many people think that SQL is a kind of a database, because when I when students call me also for as I take the personal trainings as well, they sometimes they say that they want to learn SQL. Now guys, SQL is just a language. It can be part of Access, it can be a part of SQL Server, it can be a part of Oracle, any database you talk about, MySQL, which is not a Microsoft product, right? So SQL is basically a language. It's not a database. You will have to be very specific when you say that you want to learn any database, then which database basically you want to learn, right? So it's a SQL, it's a structured query language which we use in all the databases with the same concept. I click here SQL view, and this is what exactly you see. Select bookstore and then full stop and the book name. So basically what happens when you want to select something from the table, you first write the table name and then dot and then the field name. So the query actually, when you're gonna write here, because we have already defined the bookstore, which is fine, but what if you want to make a query, because ultimately even the bookstore will have the same information. In fact, the bookstore will hold all this information, right? Because bookstore is the entire table. But if you're going to make the query, then the query will, if you run this query, it will only show you the book name. And the reason is quite simple, because the query only demands the book name. You are not seeing here the book ID and the author, right? Because used here only the book name. If I'm just going to drag book ID and author as well here, you would see all the fields there. So what you can do is, if I just write this Control V here and I just press backspace, this is what exactly the query is gonna look like. So you can do that. You can just cut this line and you're gonna put that line here in that way also, right? Both the lines are same, right? In the bookstore, the entire table will get opened, but we will target on the book header, not on the book ID, on the author. And this specifically will only give us the bookstore, the book name field, right? So all the options are with you available. So first of all, I just comment this line. This is just, I wanted to tell you that you're gonna use that as well, because ultimately whatever the information we will get it from these the table or from this query, that is going to be treated as a record set, because it's an information, right? Now what you want to do, once you have this table, so let me just close this, we don't require this. Guys, what we will do is we are going to run the code until we are not on the last record, which means this row number, this record, which is the 8th record. So how you're gonna do that? You're gonna run the loop and you're gonna write that first of all, before the loop runs, you need to ensure that you should be on the first record. Your cursor should not be here, here or here, because then you will miss out the many information. So what we are doing is we are ensuring that we should be first of all on the first record. So that's why this move first I'm writing. And now you're gonna run the loop, and the loop would look like this: do while not recorded end of file. Okay, so this is what the loop is going to look like. So we're going to run this loop and we're going to say, so this loop says that keep running this loop until you're on the end of the file, until you're in the you are at the end of this record, right? So now what we will do here is we are going to, so if I just show you the message box, so this is how I'm going to write here the rs.fields, and then you're going to write the field name. So your field name is actually, I think it is, let me check, it's a book name, right? Make sure that the spelling should be correct. It's a case insensitive, so don't worry about that. Now this is the loop I have created just to show you that how it is going to work, right? So I'm just going to close this, and we're going to close this. Let's have a look here, right? So I'm going to run this loop. There we go. All right, there we go. You can see that in the background the Access database open. Very nice, just loving this. So let me just show you. Now you see that when I'm going to run this, you don't see anything. So guys, the table will not open. You won't be able to see the table getting opened. It is open in the memory, right? It is going to be, there will be a specific space which VBA will create for that, right? And the table is there now. You can't see that, but the table now is going to be readable. So the moment I run this code, you would see that I got the first item, which is Excel VBA. I got the second item, Excel VBA again. I got the third item, Excel VBA. Well, I know that the first, second, third were never Excel VBA, and what is happening? I'm even, the fourth record also showing me the Excel VBA. That's wrong, and the reason is because you forgot to do one thing. When you have the first, object, or when you have the first field value accessed, you got to move to the next. So you write here the move next, right? Now I'm gonna run this. Let me run this quickly, guys. I press F5 and there we go. You can see that got here table opened and the message box would be here. All right, there we go. The first number: advanced Excel, SQL, dummies, access VBA, Excel VBA, SQL, and dummies. Wow, fantastic. Now you got the message box. Obviously you don't need the message box. What you need is you actually want to put it in your Excel file. So we're going to put every item over here, right? So to do that, what I will do is I will create here maybe form. Let's say I'm just going to give it a name called form, right? So we will define our the table as well. So what I will do over here, I'll define it dim ws as worksheet, and my worksheet is going to be equals to this workbook, which is my the module where I'm actually going to write this program. So I'm going to write here dot and the sheet, and you write the sheet name, which is form. So now I have created an object ws which is going to be considered as this sheet. So here in the message box, we don't need the message box, right? So what I will do is I will, or maybe I can just comment it out for you so that it is going to be good for you when you want to revise the things. So what we're going to do here is I'm simply going to write here my sheet name ws and then the cells and cells. So where we are actually going to start, the row number, which is r, and the column number is going to be 1. The value has to be equals to rs fields, right? And then the book name, and this is what we need is, right? So you can further go ahead and you can write the value as well, right? So you can also write the value here. That's all of you, I mean, that's fine, right? So now the book name is going to be given to this r, which is we're going to define the r as well here. So I just define here r as long, and we will be starting the r with the 1, right? So the row number 1 is going to be captured, and before it goes to the next loop, should be incremented by 1. So in this way, guys, we can actually import all the numbers here. So let us go ahead and run the code. So I'm going to run the code quickly. There we go, and there we go, there we go. All right, object variable with variable not set. So what is the problem? I'm so sorry, I just forgot. I should have used the set word because ws is actually your object. So there we go. Now the code is going to run. You can see that. Let's see if we have the value or not. Yeah, we have the value, but why it is not coming? Oh, my mistake, sorry. I just the header was overwritten. Actually I should have started from row number 2, but anyways, let me run the code and let me see. You can see that in the Excel it's actually importing all the numbers, right? All the book names. Perfect. There we go. Perfect. Okay, done. And the moment the code run, you see that you can see the code. So what I need to do is I need to do a couple of things over here. First of all, I'm just going to write the row number as 2, okay? And we're going to actually delete that, and we're going to write here the book names. This is your header. I want to keep this as my header only, okay? And at the end of the code, we would like to close everything. So you're going to write here that please close my record set, which is close. You're going to use the record set. Make sure that you should close it. Sure that you close the database as well. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually quit this as well. X dot quit. X dot quit means the access which is open right now, it has to be closed because you don't need it, right? You're getting it open only for the reason that you want to actually fetch that information, the table information, which is a bookstore, right? So that way, guys. Okay, so the next thing, I guess we are done with that. So let me just quickly run this. Let's see if it is going to run the code or not. So there we go. I pressed F5 and there we go. Okay, so I see some error. Let me just minimize it. All right, so it says object variable not set. Let me click on the debug and let's see. So the record set is not defined, but I have used the set word. Alright, so I guess there's a mistake which we have done, and the mistake is that the current DB actually it's not able to find the bookstore, which is a table, and because I think that's because of the reason that you should prefix it with the X is your access application, right? I think that was the reason. X.currentDB you will have to write, because X is what? X is basically your that the access file, the layout, which first pops up, right? And from there you actually getting the current database open. So the current DB should belong to that X. So that's I think that's the reason. So I'm gonna run this quickly again. Let me reset the code and let's just run the code. And by the way, I'm just going to run this code very fast. So just write here application dot screen updating equals to false. Okay, and make sure when the code run, you should have your application back to false or back to true. Okay, this will make the code run very fast. So I'm gonna run the code. Let me see. Here we go. You won't see anything happening. You see that, right? The table opened and we got the data and the access is closed, guys. Oh, very nice. Let me run the query again. Let me run this query again. Look at this now. Again, this will run. You have the access getting open and the information is coming here, right? So what we can do is and one more thing, just in case if you have a table which is keeps on expanding, because the access table can expand in the future, right? So what you can do is or maybe it can shrink as well, because just in case if you remove any information from the access table, for example you remove these three rows from these three records from that access, the next time when you run this query, this will again show up, because this is from the previous run, right? When you have these values in your access table. So in order to do that, make sure that first of all, when you start anything, you should this in the sheets called the forms, you should first delete everything, right? So you can do that, select, and then you can write here the range A2 to a, let's say write here 100, because you can expect more values as well. So this is it should select that, and then selection dot clear contents. This is what you need to do, right? That's it. Now when you're gonna run this code, see how this is going to work. First of all, you will have all the data cleared. Then let me press F5. We are able to import all the information, and this is perfect. It looks like a magic, right? So we have done this. Now what is the next thing you want to do? Well, the next thing you want to do is, guys, I'm going to actually create here a button. Let's go to the insert and let's create a shape, because now we want that form to come, right? So that form is going to come here and give it some, choose any color from here, right? I'm going to choose, let's say, this color, and I write a show form. Okay, that's my basically the button. So how to connect that? So now what we're going to do is your form name is UserForm1, right? So I insert one more module actually, and in this module I write here form showing, and you write the form name, which is the UserForm1. Okay, so I'm going to write here UserForm1.show, right? And this macro, which is form showing, go to this, right click, assign macro, and we're going to write this form showing, so that my form should come here. Now when you click here, the form would come here, perfect. And now when you click on the import, basically this macro should run, which I was running from the VBA. So what we need to do, it's very simple. We have already done our job. So I'm just going to copy this entire macro name, and I'm going to go in the user form, and you just click on this, right click or double click, whatever you want to do, go to the view code. So whenever this button gets clicked, I want to call that macro, so use the call word, right? So it will go in that, that macro. Let me show you. Let me put the break code. Don't worry, I'm gonna help you out. I'm not really rushing, right? I have enough time. I know it's a little complicated. After all, we are connecting the access with the Excel. We're gonna make a very awesome form, right? And I'm going to talk about more on the another video part 2 as well, because I don't want to make this video so lengthy. You should find it little uneasy, because spending 1 hour on a video is also a big challenge. So let me click here, and the moment I click on the import book names, you see that this button will run, and then it will go here. So that's how we're gonna see all the items over here. This is going to show up here. Access opens, thing gets open, and there we go. You see, you have your list here, right? So that's what actually this is exactly what is happening here. So and make sure that once the application the quits, you should be on some cell. Let me just write here that you should be on some cell, maybe let's say B1. because right now you see that the entire column is highlighted because of that. So I should be on the B1, right? And what else you need? Well, I think then yeah, I think that's it. Maybe you can unload the form, right? Because unload will do what? It will exit the form. So let me just run this quickly, guys. Okay, now I have not put any break code. Let us check. So we're gonna run this, and I'm just gonna import book names. There we go. Code is going to run, and there we go. And that's it. You see that I'm back on the on that B1, and there is no form now coming, right? So now what we want to do is, now this import book name is there, that's fine, but after importing it, what you want to do, obviously you would like to actually update the record. Now first of all, which record you want to update, that's we're going to choose in the list box, and then we will create one more button. Okay, so let us go ahead and go to the developer tab, and I'm going to use the Visual Basic again. Go to the user form and click the user form and go to the view code, or maybe you can go from here as well. Just right click and go to the view code, and I think you can go from here as well if you just hover your mouse, view code, right? Now this is a user form platform, this is a user form window, this is not the module. So now what we want to do is, the moment the user form gets initialized, the first time when the form gets activated, you see I select this user form, and this is the click event. I don't want to use the click event, I want to use the initialize event. Now these are the events, guys, which run by themselves. So whatever you write in this user form initialize, whenever the condition, whenever the form gets initialized, which means that when it is going to be loaded in the memory, before even you see it, before even it flashes on your screen, now this macro will run, and this macro will do what? This will simply fill out the list box name. So I'm going to use the list box name row source equals to what you want to do. Well, I want the information, so I'm going to write the form sheet name, which is with the sign of exclamation. That's how you write. And then you're going to write it starts from A2 and A100, or maybe 1000, whatever you want to do, right? That is why I was not in the actually I was thinking of using the list box, because if you have 10-20,000 items, I don't think so it's a good option, right? But still, I'm telling you all the options, right? So the same code you will have to write. I'm just going to copy this because you have a combo box as well. So here, just backspace it and find out what was the name. I think the combo box started with the CMB as per the name. Yeah, that's it. And we're gonna use the row source. So the row source property is going to be used here, right? What will happen? Both the things will have their information, right? Why? Because you have this information. You are actually getting this information from the import, and the moment you do that, you're going to have all the information. So now we have to see a couple of things, because I'll show you. If you click here, you see that you have your form coming. Very nice. You see that immediately the code ran, because the form gets initialized, and I have explained all these things in my basic videos. Now when the form gets initialized, you get to see all the values, but the point is, what is the use of this then import book names? There is no use of that, right? So it's all up to you now what you want to do. If you want that when you click on the import, then your combo box and your list box should show the value, then you should not write that event here. Then you can comment this out. Let me first copy these lines, because then there is no use of putting this in the initialized event. You actually should never write this event then. Okay, so just comment them, or maybe delete them, because if you want that to be done from the import form, double click here. You got to see this like this. So here, don't use the unload then, because you want to see the form. So here, write these lines. Okay? Because what happens first, when you run the submit, you click on the submit button, the import button. First, it will go in this macro, retrieve information. It will run this code, which we already know how it is going to work. And when it is going to work, you will have all the data coming in your Excel, right? And once it is on your Excel, these two lines at the end of the code are going to run, and you will have your value. So if I just click on this, see what will happen. Now they are totally blank, right? If I click on the import, that's what we're going to see here. Run this, there we go, and then you can see that, right? Perfect. So you have all the options, right? Now we're not going to use this. I mean, it's all up to you. I'm just going to delete that, right? So that I just wanted to explain you. So let's remove this, and I just keep my this combo box over here. Okay, and so now we are through with the part one. In the part one, we learned that how to import the table. The next time now what we are going to do is we are going to create one more button, which is the update button, and that what it will do whenever you select anything from the combo box, we will create one more text box, and in the text box whatever you want to update, for example you want to change Excel VBA to Excel only, then you just do that and click on the that update button, and then it will connect back to the access, and it will go in now in the access table, and it will update those records. Okay, and so that's it for now. And before I just wrap up this video, because combo box is there, list box is not there, just comment this, because otherwise it will throw the error, right? So I just close this and I'm gonna click here, and you see that it is completely blank, but the moment I run this code, is going to happen, and you will have your combo box back. Perfect. Now once in the next video we're going to talk that once I select the advanced Excel, so here in the text box if I write Excel and I click on the update button, how it is going to update this advanced, how it is going to change this advanced Excel to Excel or whatever you write in the access table. So it's going to be great fun, right? So anyways, that's it for now, guys, and I'll see you in the part 2. So follow me there, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. And this is the code. Let me just maximize the window so that you can see the code. That's the entire code for you, right? So any questions you have in this, let me know about it. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the part 2.